Hi, friends.
Hello, Goofy Geekers.
We're going to pretend that this is the first time doing this.
Yep, we're doing this for the first time. No.
How was your week this week?
I didn't know I lived on the sun.
All right, fuck this.
Okay.
Let me get my notes. Kelsey I asked her if she wanted to watch this with me, and she
Right.
was like, I'll watch some of it, but then I'm going to go for a walk. I'm like, okay, whatever. She plays Pokemon Go, so
Yeah.
she walks 5 feet, and then she stops, and
Yeah.
it's a fun time. Like, wow, this is a great walk.
Walks another 3 steps. Ooh.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So she...
So we're just for the quick thing, we are watching the movie that you picked, which was Napoleon Dynamite.
This is our first time watching
First
it.
time.
Both of us.
I have not seen this movie.
So Kelsey's seen this movie, and she, like, knows some quotes or whatever.
Okay.
And so she was watching with me, and I wrote something down. She's like, are you taking notes? I'm like, yeah, it's for tomorrow. And she was like, what are you taking notes for? I'm like, because I have a pea brain. Like, I need to remember, like, the good part. She's like, this isn't even a good part. I'm like, I need to write it down. Fuck off.
I have to say, when I write notes, two things. I write notes because I want super details, so like, but then I end up telling the whole movie. Like,
Yeah.
I like it when I write notes, or I kind of just go with the flow. Like I've watched and I kind of know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to start off with one thing.
That's it. There you go.
Oh no.
Fuck this podcast.
This is abuse. I don't need to take this. No.
You should go see your other lives. The boss abuses you way more than that than this one.
So true. What year is it? No,
That's what I want to know.
because
Like, taking place?
right.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Okay, because I am a child of the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the middle school when it was mid 80s, so about 84, 85. And then my last year was around 89, 90. And then I'm a 90s child in the high school, which is, I graduated in 94. So,
Yeah.
So I'm watching this movie, and when it first starts, I kind of go, oh, this is a old movie. Like, like it's not an old movie,
Yeah.
but like it's supposed to
Old
take place.
setting. Yeah.
And I go, I remember those. I remember this. I remember that. And I kind of go like, I'll go in more detail later on, but because I don't want to quickly go through the whole movie and being like whatever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, something would happen, and I go, hey man, this song wasn't around at this time. Like, how is this happening? And then I don't know if you noticed, but in the classrooms when they show the class, there'd be like 3 people dressed like they were in the 1980s, and the rest were all dressed like in 2000s with their hair and like shirt. And I go, wait a minute, they didn't have that. Like, I was very confused.
Yeah, I don't know where the timeline is. If anyone knows, can you please let us know?
Because
Does it say?
it doesn't say. It doesn't say.
Look it up.
I tried to look it up.
Oh, like you just can't find it.
And
Maybe that's the point of it.
There's a lot of people who it was a lot of like different answers. So I'm like,
Maybe that's the point of it then, to not know.
The
like,
only
what...
thing that I was under the assumption was that this was because it's a small town, that it was so small town that it kind of got, because that's what happens. Sometimes small towns get stuck.
Yeah.
And then like new things don't come through. So I just kind of assume like half the town was kind of like up to date, and then like this small part of the town was kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Where I felt like Napoleon was kind of stuck in this era of time. Because even down to, well, when we meet Napoleon and his brother, he's like on a chat. So I'm like, all right. Like, I remember doing that, but I don't remember doing that until like the 2000s.
Right.
So how is he in a chat?
Yeah.
And then this guy, and then he's dressing from the snow boots to the trapper, like with the notebooks, and like there's so much stuff that I'm like, okay, this is 80s. Like, this is all stuff I dealt with. And he's like, oh, sweet ride. And I'm like, that bike is in 1980 bike. He's like, oh, it has pegs and stuff. I'm like, okay, well, that was cool in the 80s. I'm like, I got very lost on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they just couldn't decide, so we're just like, we'll just throw this in.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe because it was
the only thing they talk about the date
later.
is that the uncle. who keeps saying, I keep thinking it's 1982. I'm like, yeah, when was that? Was that when you were in high school? Because I got that impression. I'm like, how old are you, buddy?
Yeah.
Are you only 20? So this is not that far ago? Or are you 40 reliving like... Because it was hard to tell.
Yeah.
Because he looked older, but not that much older.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
have no idea what... It was just like... That was like a big thought that I had too. I was like, oh, what? Because like when it first started, I was like,
1980.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
this is 80s. Easily.
And
Boom.
then like different things happened, like you said, and I was like, I don't know what year this is. Maybe he knows.
Nope.
Apparently not. So what use were you for?
I want to straight out and tell you, I had a hard time watching this. For one reason, I literally lived this. I talk about how when I got put into LD, I went from like the coolest kid in school, or one of the coolest kid, to like getting beat up every day and just getting like everything. I knew 2 kids that acted like Napoleon, like completely, down to the T. Like even dress-wise, I was like, oh my God, they used to wear these clothes all the time. Like, and I don't want to say any names because I'm just going to call one Kevin and one Brian because...
Don't forget those names.
I'll try not to. But, so, Kevin...
Napoleon and Dynamite.
So, Kevin did all that lying like Napoleon. Like, what'd you do last night? Oh, I got in a fight. Well, actually, his story was, what did you do yesterday? Because I couldn't sit with the cool kids, so I had to sit with Kevin. Yeah. So when I sat with Kevin, I said, what did you do last night? I was at my dad's junkyard, and I built a plane. Oh, you built a plane? Yeah. And I took it for a ride, and I flew around my big field in the back of my house. And I was like, oh...
Could you imagine if he actually did that? That'd be fucking hilarious to you.
No, but I was like, I had a hard time because I was the only kid that would sit with me. Yeah. So, like, there was no way I was going to call this kid out. Right. Because at that time, I had zero friends. And
I probably would have done the same thing.
Right. Like, just like when he tells, like, all these stories, and you're just like... I don't know, like I have a hard time with these things because I just felt like, see, I take that stuff personally. Like, do you think I'm that dumb? Like that's what I feel like. Someone saying I'm that dumb. But then he would talk about for hours. Oh, I did this and I flew here and I flew. And I'm like, how did you land? Oh, I almost crashed. And it was like this long story, and you kind of go, okay. And then you walk away and you're like, okay, he just was trying to be cool. The next day at lunch, another great story. Like this, just like there's no way. And I felt like that kid. You know how like Napoleon tells like, I'll do what I want to do. Like I'll do this, and he's like, I was what was he saying, something with the nunchucks? Oh my God, I was like, it's like, oh, I did, and the guy's like, really, what'd you do then? And I'm like, that was me. That was me, even though, like, inside of me, I'm going, no, you didn't. And then there was another kid, and he was in our neighborhood, had the same hair. Poor kid. He had this big, big froey hair, and his mom would part it down the middle. But it was like, and it was pale white. Actually, whiter, because he's blonde. He had, like, white hair.
He's, like, almost red, isn't he?
Yeah, almost like a reddish blonde. Yeah, but this kid had, like bleached white, even though it wasn't bleached. Yeah. And he would wear, I don't know, do you remember those old 70, like, they look like bowling sneakers? They came back, like, in the 2000s, but they were, like, and they kind of, like, had that big thing up the side, and, like, one color would be on one side. They almost look like bowling shoes, but they weren't. Yeah. Oh, he used to wear all those type of clothes with the puffy jackets, and it'd be like, no one was wearing those. Like, no, we're like... And he'd be like, hey guys, my mom just made some Kool-Aid. And it was like right on our way where we ride our bikes all the time. So we always would catch him, and he would be outside. He would have like the cardboard out and trying to break dance. And that's when he started dancing, made me think of the whole thing. I know I don't want to go through the whole story, but I literally lived this movie. And the whole time, I did not find this movie funny at all because I was like, dude, there's people.
Because you were so mad.
I was literally like, this this is somebody. Like, this is somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I know the two kids that are this person, except that they were mushed together. Like,
Yeah.
if you took Kevin's life and Brian's life and put them together, it'd be exactly like that. Except that it was, one had an older brother, but he was cool. Like, he wasn't,
Yeah.
he wasn't, he wasn't this guy. The older brother on this one, I was like, yeah, that was the other thing. How was he all dressed up like that? That wasn't until the 90s either. With the do-rags and stuff. That wasn't until like 2000 would do. There was no like 80s. Everyone just wore bandanas. I couldn't with this one. I got very confused of the timeline. Listen.
Maybe because it was shot or like it came out in 2006. So
No, 4 came out in 2004.
Okay.
Don't push it.
Excuse me. That they forgot that these didn't happen back then. I don't know. I really just don't know what year they think it was.
Okay, okay, I'm just going to go with the first person that says this. It says that this film is set during 2004-2005 school years as Napoleon's ID card is titled. But this whole thing is like 80s and 90s. So even down to his like snow moon boots there. So I'm not sure. I guess it says it's but again, it was I think this is a town that's stuck in time.
Yeah.
Like that type of trick. And it's just kind of like we're supposed to, even though I gotta tell you, the uncle had a sweet van. That was an old like 70s van. I would have drove that around. That was a badass van. No, you don't think that was a badass van? Oh no, because I like old stuff that years ago.
Well, it's not that I don't think I just want to drive it.
Well,
I just want to drive it.
I drive that bad, but people like I just needed a little horn, a little Mexican horn. Hydraulics too. Like that wasn't around. Go ahead. All right, so let's talk about the movie.
Okay.
So I had a hard time with this movie because I actually didn't find a lot funny.
I found some of it funny.
I found annoying.
Can't.
So annoyed at this movie. Go ahead. No.
This was me last week. Remember how I thought it was so annoying?
Yeah, this was
okay.
like literally. You should just. I was asking my my lovely boss if she could just drive by the house and just shoot me. I had middle school drama, like what PSDs. I was like, no.
I didn't love this movie. I think I don't know. I just wasn't like I don't see the hype with this movie. Like
there were some gems in this movie. I will say that.
Yes. But that's it.
Yeah, and I would say when I say gems, I would say 3 things if you're lucky, and then everything else was kind of like, oh my gosh. Like for me, it was hard because even the funny parts were like me saying, "But I seen a kid do this. Like I seen this." So
it touched home a little too.
Yeah, it's too much. Like it was supposed to be satire. Like he's supposed to be so outrageous, but yet. If you take Kevin and Brian and put them together, I was like, dude, I've seen someone wear an outfit that's like, dude, that's like 100 years old. Mm-hmm. Oh. Actually, we did something horrible to one of those kids. I won't say his name, either one.
We had to bring it up.
No, but we did something horrible where we told him.
To Kevin or Brian?
Huh?
To Kevin or Brian?
I'm not saying who. Just in case. Because in case someone puts one and one together. That we actually convinced him that the locker room went into another part of the E-wing, and he got changed in the E-wing. And when the bell rang, because you never have time, he was literally half undressed.
Oh my god!
Which in high school was hilarious.
Right.
As
looking back,
was like
I've done a lot of peer pressure stuff like that too.
Oh, it wasn't peer pressure. I was the one.
You started.
I really.
But I was the peer pressure going into it.
I'm
like, oh my god, that would be so funny, but
it's not. It wasn't.
Right.
I mean, luckily he wasn't completely in
Yeah.
his. I mean, he was down to his like tighty whities, but we literally opened the door and he was down to his tighty whities. We're like, and I was like, oh, okay, that's not what I thought. Like, I didn't think the bell would ring. I thought he'd get changed before the bell rang. But the fact that he was out there, and I would always thought, like, how did you not, like, what 1 + 1? But some people aren't like that. They don't get that. And, like, Napoleon, not 1 + 1 type of thing. A little off.
Yeah.
not off like dumb. Just,
No,
they're
just, like-
just almost too smart.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this movie.
Okay, let's.
For real.
No, yeah, I know. Go ahead. Sorry.
So like I feel like there was a lot of like quick scenes that like I really didn't understand why they needed to be put in there.
Okay.
Also, so like I don't have like the whole thing down.
Yeah.
It skips around, but
Right.
it opens up with him. I don't remember how it opens up, but the first scene that I wrote down was him getting on the bus with all the kids.
Right. Which I had to do.
You did?
Yeah.
Why?
In middle school, my well, no, I was to say, I'm probably going to say 7th grade or 8th grade. We moved where my business is now to my house, so it's on a main road, which is East Main Road, which is almost a highway. Well, because I moved and there were no middle school buses that went to be able to pick me up going away from the middle school, because that's how you have to pick me up. I can't cross the road.
Yeah.
That I had to catch the high school bus.
Really?
So it was the opposite for me.
Yeah.
Where I, instead of being on a bus of younger kids,
you were with
I got
older.
on the bus with older kids, which now is illegal. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, you get picked up, you get picked up. So
Yeah.
I went like 2 years of having like high school friends that thought I was a freshman and I was in 7th grade. Or 8th grade, like it was one of those grades.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was the 7th. And I know what it felt like being in a bus full of kids that I had
So
no business.
this movie's really
This
hitting all your
really
buttons, huh?
hits me because this is during the time when I got put into LD.
Did you? Can I just ask you
Yeah,
a
go ahead,
question?
go ahead.
Did
No, I
you
didn't do
also?
I did do other things. We did do other things because now being with older kids are more mature with their sense of humor.
Yeah.
So there were probably more inappropriate things being done around me. Being in 7th and 8th grade at the time, because I had to do both years.
Yeah.
Like I didn't just get 1 year out of it.
Right.
I had to so. The only good thing is by the time I hit high school, I had junior friends.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think I had high school. I'm a senior friends,
Yeah.
which I always talk about me having my senior year and my freshman year, and then by the time I was a senior, like the principal had everything locked down. I couldn't do anything. But my freshman year, I basically lived like a senior because there was juniors and seniors basically like nows, don't do this, don't do that. But we did many of things that I can remember. I remember someone cutting the back of the seats with their knife.
Really?
Because they had a pocket knife, and I was just like, oh, and I'd be like, oh,
Don't want to cross
and
that?
I was like, but no, I wasn't
Yeah.
scared that they would hurt
Oh.
me. It was more like, oh my god, he just ripped into like public property, and then he was pulling out stuffing, and I was like, oh, I didn't know there was stuff.
He's
Like
one of
there's
those
so
guys.
much stuff that I didn't know, but because they were older, and I wasn't gonna say nothing, and then I remember that was one of the questions, who cut him, and then, of course I wasn't. Oh, it was a cool day. I was gonna
Right.
squeal. I know because
Right.
I knew I was the youngest. And I was like, well, I think it was like that when I got on. And they were like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. Or maybe it's when we got off. Maybe one of the elementary kids were playing around with it or something. Or, like ripping
Yeah.
it. Like it was cut. But because a lot of kids would vandalize, but they wouldn't do all the way. And then
Right.
other kids would do stuff because it was a different time.
Right. No, I remember like a lot of
Like the
every seat was it's like taped.
Yeah. That's probably from my generation.
Probably.
Yeah, so no, this really hits home. Like this
Wow.
really.
So every scene you're gonna have a story.
No, I'm trying not to. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Thank you.
No, I don't want to take away from you.
So this is actually called Niles Ferry.
It really was that bad to me. I was like, oh my gosh, I did this. I did that. I actually had the same trapper, the trapper John, trapper keeper that he has. Like the thing in the beginning when he opens up.
Oh yeah.
That's called a trapper keeper. That was really cool in the 80s. We all had that, and I had the same one.
Wow.
It
You're
was
so cool.
It was so cool in the 80s.
Anyways.
What's your favorite word? Fuck off.
It's fuck you, thank you.
Go ahead.
So he gets on this bus with all these little kids, and they're like, "What are you gonna do?" He's like, "Whatever I want."
I know, whatever I want to do.
Why is his eyes always closed?
Yeah, because there are people who do that. Okay, there we
really
go.
Bothers me. Kevin did it, or
Brian would always talk with his head up and his eyes closed. He's like, "So I don't feel like doing that today. I want to do this today." And I'd be like, "Okay, you can do whatever you want. Like, I'm riding by. I don't even know why you. I want to do this." And I feel like I'm sounding like Napoleon, but I really sounds like Brian. Like in my head,
God.
like I really, it would be like, because you do know during the 80s, we had those Valley girls. Remember those Valley? Like, you don't remember. Be like, wow, like I was out. And like they would talk like that. Mm-hmm. And they would guys that would be kind of like, they could talk kind of snobby like this. And then they kind of had that Napoleon. I was like, oh my gosh, just really is both of those guys. They both were good kids. They both were really nice. They didn't get in trouble, but they lived their lives in like total 100%.
Where do you think they are now? Do you know? Or no?
I wouldn't be surprised if they're. I wouldn't be surprised if one is successful and one's not. Like one, and I don't know which one, but one could be in a trailer park, like living a very simple life. Yeah. And the other one could be like the maker of, I don't know, like flypaper or something. I don't know. Like, because they were that type of kid. They both were like those moments. The line, you have to understand, for for Kevin, was like, no one liked him. No one wanted to be with him. So when he got someone sitting next to him, he didn't know how to be. Yeah. And he wanted to make himself so cool that it was like, dude, just be you. You would have been fine. That was the thing in the 80s. We all wanted to be extra cool.
That was the thing anyways.
That's always, but I feel like it was different. Like we made our lives sound like some adventure book, where like now it always feels like you got to be a tough guy, or you're going to do something like, I'm going to be the one who does something super outrageous because we've pushed everything outrageous. Yeah. Well, I mean, this kid talked about flying in a plane that he made, and you kind of go, oh, okay. But you know how many kids probably believed him? Or littler kids believed him? Like, probably. And then that's why the little kids always like that kid and look up to him, because they don't believe, they're hearing it, but there's no, you can't fly. Like, how would you take off? You know? Yeah.
I get it.
So it's him being cool without being cool. Like, he's in his own little world. Like those two guys. Those two guys were always in their own world. Like, you were in there with them, or you were like, they wanted nothing to do with you. Yeah. And they were always nice, and I was always nice to both of them. And I remember there were times that, like, I didn't want to be nice to. Brian would always catch me in the neighborhood, and I was like, no, please, God, please, no. But
is there another way to get there?
Yeah, but I didn't have the heart to be like, he's probably listening like, I'm going to kill you now. No, but I didn't have the heart, because sometimes it was just too much. Like, it was just too much nothingness. Yeah, go ahead. Because Brian's the one who always like, I'm taking karate, and then he would do the 5 moves, and you'd just be like, wow, that's really good. He's like, yeah, I'm going for black belt next week. And when I was a kid, black belts were for like teenagers / belts, where now I know kids can get them now. Like, but
but you could just get like different degrees.
Yeah. But I'm just like, and he would be like, watch me, whoa, and you're just kind of sitting there going, I think I could do the exact same thing.
Good job. All right. So then he gets beat up.
Oh, yeah.
And then he calls home. He lives with grandma. Yeah. And his brother picked up, which I didn't understand who he was at first. Yeah, and then I was like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't know if he was dad.
I know, because he has that mustache.
Yeah.
Just like,
and he's at home, so it's like, I don't know, like, what's going on.
Can these two be any polar opposites? Because he's like, shut up. Just give me grandma. And the guy's like, Grandma's not here. I'm busy. And he's making like...
Oh, he's making nachos and he's grating the cheese.
Do you remember the cheese?
Yeah.
That used to be government cheese. Like, you used to get, and then he's seen there just going like that, and on the grater.
Did you notice, like, as the scenes go on, there's more and more cheese? Like, where'd they come from?
He said he's busy.
That's not adding up. He's just doing it behind the scenes.
He's like putting the phone down. He just...
Right. So he really wants to be picked up, and nobody's picking him up. So,
Definitely.
Then he meets this new kid in his bike.
So he meets the kid. This kid is clearly a new student.
Yeah. Well, because was it the principal?
It
was like, this is your locker, and then Napoleon's like, is this a new kid? And he's like,
show him around.
Because
he doesn't speak English, but yet he does.
Yeah.
I love he's like, no English. No English. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I like that too. And I'm like, well, I thought you couldn't talk English. Like, what the?
Not to teachers. So, like, he shows him how to use the locker or whatever, and then he's like...
Did he really? Because it just looked like he opened and closed the locker, and
Yeah,
the other guy was just
right.
standing there like... Did you watch them? They were always so...
Why are they so, like, monotone? Or not monotone, but, like,
because that's how they are.
They're just, like...
Because they
and
don't...
I get it. You don't have to go back and do
No, but they are like that. Because they just kind of, like... Life is, like, smacking them in the face, and they're just like... I'm not making fun of them.
No.
I'm not. I'm really not. But yet, it is funny because when I think about things, because things would be said, like if we were around other kids, they would say something and he would walk away and I'm like, dude, they were just making fun of you. He's like, no, they weren't. I was like,
okay.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they were making fun of you. They said, Kevin. They said this. They said that. No, they're just jealous. And they walked away. Clueless. They live, like, Pedro and Napoleon clearly live in a whole nother plane than the rest of, where are they? Iowa?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it's, they're living somewhere. Idaho.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I am. You wait for that joke. You're like, please say it. Please say
No.
it.
I don't know where they're from.
So, yeah, totally. I just felt like, again, I relayed with the whole, like, just like, go ahead. No, I'm going to wait till that part comes.
Okay. So then he asks him if he has a bike, right? Yeah.
I know, yeah.
And then he shows him like this very cool bike to him.
It was a mountain bike.
Yeah.
Which he makes it sound like it's a BMX bike.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like I had a mongoose when I was a kid, and I was like, oh yeah. When it shows this bike, I'm like, that's not an '80s bike. Like that does not look like what I used to ride. Like
a little flag on it.
a little Mexican flag. And I love the fact when he's going through, he's like, oh, sweet peg, sweet thing. And then he sees the flag, and he's like, I was like, okay, sweet flag, sweet flag. And yet he doesn't say it. And it's like pauses. Like, you know, it's like in everything in your soul is like, nice flag. And he doesn't say it. No. You're like.
And then he asks to take it for a spin. So he's like riding it back. And then for the rest of the movie, he just drives his bike and Pedro's on the back.
No. You missed the whole. What? Have you ever had some sweet jumps on this?
Oh.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, I bet you can jump like 4 feet on this. And I'm like, it's a mountain bike. You're not doing no 4 feet off it. And then there's this little tiny ramp which just has a center blocks and a piece of wood, which you don't get. But in the 80s, I feel like every boy had this because they wanted that little pop with that thing. And of course, Pedro goes straight for it, little pop. But I love it. It doesn't even pop. It just goes boom.
Yeah,
like he just
falls right into it.
And he's like, wow, he almost got like 4 feet on that. And I'm like, again, not even close to 4 feet. It just fell straight down. And he's like, can I do it? That was funny. Because I've had that happen to me. When you go hit the jump and it breaks, or like your front tire hits wrong and you go flying off. And of course, right on his... right on his crotch. Woo! I've had that. And then
My dad never let me do that. He didn't let me learn. I was sheltered.
I've landed on my head. I'm trying to jump off stuff. I've landed on my head. No helmet. That explains a lot. I'm surprised I had children. Because between riding and the bike, woo, baby. God. And that was funny. I laughed because that's what I've done. I've done that. I was like, yep, that's me. I've done that.
All right. Then he goes home and Kip's on the chatting online or whatever, and they're going back and forth.
What is he saying?
I have the line, so don't worry.
Okay, because I was like, what is he saying? And I was like, I'm not backing up. And I'm like, he's a weirdo. Like, we're just gonna.
They went back and forth, and he's like, you're just jealous because I've been talking to babes all day.
No, what was he saying when he was on the computer?
Remember? Oh, he was just like talking about.
He was like, very, very, very. I was like, if this guy's going to say very, very big, I'm out. Like, I'm out. Because he's chatting on the things. And
at first, I thought he was like writing a book or something.
Yeah, I thought he was writing, and I was like, that's such a big computer. And I'm like, oh, that's 80s itch. You know, like, but I remember going on the web in the 80s. Mm-hmm. That's more of a 90s or 2000 thing. And I'm like, okay, I don't get this. And then, like, Grandma come out. That reminded me of being in the 80s because I remember my friend lived with not the two friends, but I had another friend who lived with a grandma. She used to be the same thing. All right, boys, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'll be back at 6 o'clock. I'll see you guys later. Make sure your butt's home before the if I was staying over the house or whatever. But
go feed the
I know. Go feed Tina. Go feed Tina. That was funny. That was funny.
Tina's just, what is she, an alpaca?
Alpaca.
Yeah.
And then
he goes out with the stuffing. He's like, feeding you. Eat it.
What's up with the flies? Did I just tell you, like, the flies were annoying me? Because there was fly around the casserole. The casserole had flies, remember? Yeah. And then the girl came, which I know I'm jumping, but she had flies all around her. And I'm like, what did they do? Like a giant fly heap? Like, I've never seen that many flies on a live set in my life. That had to be, like, legit life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, oh, my gosh.
I don't know. And then he does meet the girl.
Yeah, he meets the girl that's... Like,
what is her name?
Oh, now you're pushing it. Hold on.
I feel like I know it, but I can't think of it.
No, it's Deb.
Yeah,
it's Deb. I didn't even get there. I knew it was Deb. First of all, does she not have the hairdo of like 1980? Like, I remember girls looking like that with the like the scrunchie in their hair, and I'm going and just looking at it, going, "How did you?" That's like that guy with the comb over. Like, they was all just kind of like...
A lot of aquifer in there.
And she was so...
Or Aquanet.
Yeah, Aquanet. Oh, my God. And that was like...
Yeah.
That was like 3 cans to do that crap. Yeah, you should have been living in the late 90s when they had, like... They would, like, iron their hair and then spray and then lift up and they still would be here. I'll tell you, they blocked a lot of wind in the 90s. We had windbreakers. Women had wind blockers. You ever seen that? Back in the day with the hair? It's like, and they got bigger and bigger, and it was like, they curled a little bit here, and it'd be like, oh my God, it was a mess. And then you would touch it, and be like, don't touch my hair. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to break it. I'm serious. It was rock hard. And, so, yeah, and then she's trying to sell... Like
anything she can.
Yeah, no, like bracelets and glamour shots that was super big in the late 90s. Like, oh my God, glamour
Well, then
shots.
she had like 2 other tackle boxes full of shit that she didn't get through.
I guess she runs away.
Right. And well, because he made fun of her.
I felt like every little girl did those plastic braid things. I was like, that was in the 2000s. Like, I'm so confused by what time this is. I'm like, she's dressed like it's 80-something.
Right.
Leave me alone. It drove me... I'm not joking. This movie made me absolutely crazy with the time. Because it was like things I would go, okay, I get... Wait a minute, that wasn't going on when I was a kid. Doesn't even make sense. Oh my God, this poor guy. Oh no, we forgot about him seeing him fighting The guy who is going to teach karate to them.
No, it's after.
Oh, is it after?
Yeah.
When the brother sees it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right. Because that's coming up, though.
Yeah, it's like, I was going to talk about that next.
So it's now.
Yeah, because he's watching the TV.
Yeah.
As she's...
Do you know how many commercials used to be on back in the 80s?
Like
for that
all
crap?
of them.
All of them. And it'd be like, put your kid in karate. Put your kid in martial arts.
It was Rex Kwon Do.
I can't.
So
He
Kip
was
sees
funny.
this commercial and he's like writing down notes like, okay, this is how I get girls. And so he makes he's like strapping on his rollerblades and he looks to Napoleon and says,
I knew
it'd be nice if you give me a ride.
And right away, I'm like, wait a minute. Rollerblades are more in the 90s, like late 90s or 94.
Mm-hmm.
Like
This movie didn't know what timeline it wanted
right.
to be.
And then all of a sudden, he's riding the bike, Pedro's bike, without Pedro.
No, it's his bike. It wasn't Pedro's.
Oh, was it his bike? Oh, no, you're right. It was a 10-speed.
Yeah.
It was a 10-speed bike with a rope with
Yeah.
his brother. And I'm like,
He just
do you not know how to ride? Do you not how... You can work those things by yourself.
So then they attend this class, and he's like all macho, or like the
I know. American
Right.
flag. The
Yes.
American flag pants. The MC Hammer American. Like, they were so big on him. Oh.
they look like my dad's chef pants.
Yes,
Back in
it
the
does.
day.
It does. I've seen your dad wear those. I know which one you're talking about.
And then he has the red
Yeah,
bandana with the
Yeah,
red the white stars
I know.
or whatever it
No,
was.
it was blue. Wasn't it blue with the stars?
No, I think it was red. Maybe it was white with red.
Okay, whatever.
Red and white.
But, it was,
Because his shirt was blue, so I think they did the red on top.
Yeah, and then, of course, the brother's trying to explain he's going to be a martial artist. Mm-hmm. And then he goes against this guy and he's like, ow, ow.
Right. This guy's like, hit me.
And
hit
by
me.
the way, this guy is doing zero martial arts.
Right.
Like, he just, basically, this is as much martial arts he does. He's like,
Right.
watch this. I can break his wrist. I broke it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you smacked it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is...
Kick my leg.
Yeah. And then like, the guy gets down in like slow motion and he jumps.
Right.
And I'm like, what is happening? For $300, you can have my class. And they look at each other like, oh, money, get the hell out of here.
And he's like, that class was, or that was a ripoff.
Yeah. That's a rip-off. Like, really?
And then time goes by, I think. And then so he goes to lunch and he's sitting with Pedro. And he asks Pedro,
For
are
the
you going to
tots.
finish those tots? And he's like, no. So he takes them and he shoves them in his pocket.
Best line ever. How long did it take you to grow that slamming mustache? A day?
A couple of days. Man, I wish I could grow one.
It's just like, oh, that's like high school. Like, I think we all have that one friend who, as a guy,
Yeah.
that's like, has facial hair in high school, and you're like, dude, I don't have to shave yet. What the hell's going on? He's like, I have to shave every day, or I look like a 40-year-old man. You're like, what?
So then he takes the tots and then he's goes to class and are they taking a test? I think they're taking a test.
Yeah.
And he like opens it up and starts eating it. And like they should not be that crunchy at that point. That bothered me. I looked at Kelsey like they shouldn't be crunchy.
Wait a
She's like,
minute.
no.
Do you know what made it worse for me?
When the kid asked.
No.
What?
Is the fact that they're tater tots. You put that crap in your mouth. You don't
Oh
take
yeah,
a
you don't
bite
take a
out
bite
of
of that.
it. He's like,
Yeah.
because it's like all falling out of his mouth. I'm like, who eats it's this small? Like, how is that too much for you to eat? Like, oh, I better not put the whole thing in. I might choke. Like, he takes a bite and he's like eating it. And the guy's like, hey, can I get some tots? Can I have your tots? I'm like, dude.
No, man.
First of all, there is a cold day in hell.
That's for somebody.
Okay, I gotta be.
Pant
I
tots.
literally. Did you just say pants tots? Okay, we're gonna move along.
You find those on the side of the lowway.
Yeah, someone's driving on the lowway to get some pants tots. Okay, I can't put pants tots. I can't. Okay. This is so bad. Now, this is...
How long
This,
did
right
you
there?
just say?
Right there, that's your TikTok. Like, right there is you saying pants tots. Like, what? So, there, I have to be... You ever seen that movie Alive when the soccer team or like it crashes on the side of a mountain and then they all like start to die and they have to eat each other, right? Like because they're gonna die. Mm-hmm. I will do that before I eat pants tots because I was like, dude, what are you asking that for? Like I would, no way. See,
especially somebody else's pant tots.
By the way, this has happened with Kevin and. This has happened, Brian. This has happened where they took something from lunch, wrapped it up, and
I feel like a lot of kids
but they
do it.
wrapped it up and put it in their pants. And when they took it out, it was like something you don't because see, like the tots still were good. You knew that guy just walked right from the cafeteria there because they were still solid. Because normally they're like scraping it out, and you're going, "No, I'm good." Because I always had that one kid, like, oh, you want some Skittles? And then they're like pulling it out, like one. I'm like,
and like their hand is like all the rainbow.
Right, and you're just like, is that from a rapper? Oh no, they're in my pit. Oh, that's okay. And they're like leg warm melting. I'm all set. I don't need your pants tots that's been heated by your outside your leg. I'm good. And he's all mad, and then he kicks it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, and I'm like, dude, what was the difference?
Right.
And he's like, oh, no, I can't eat them. Like, really? See, Kevin would have scooped it right out.
All right. God damn it, Kevin. All
right, just for a record, I want to give a shout out to Kevin right here. Do you know Kevin in 6th grade showed me at the, this is 6th grade now, showed me when you go into the cafeteria how to make every condiment you ever want. Like he showed me how to make Thousand Island, like mac sauce by throwing the ketchup, the mayonnaise, the relish, and mixing it together. Like he showed me how to make every condiment. That's how weird he was. But then I was like, wow, I didn't know that. And then it was like, oh, you want just French dressing? He's like, ketchup and mayonnaise. Here you go. And I'd be like, oh, is that all it is? He's like, yeah. He's like, he had all of them. So like when I walked in there, I could because lunches used to sometimes be hamburgers. So we literally would make like crap mac sauce, like
crap sauce.
Yeah. So I wanted to give a little shout out, like how different he was.
Yeah.
Even though he was like, look, and I'd be like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Like I didn't know all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm in 6th grade though, so you're talking about like 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. And the fact that I was like, wow, and then when I actually tasted it, I was like, oh my god, you were right.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was lying.
Yeah. You're fucking with me.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
And then I was like, oh my god. It's like, oh, you want tartar sauce? And then I was like, okay, just give him a little heads up for the poor guy. Go ahead. The story. I told you it was weird.
And then, so he sees that girl sitting at the table by herself, and he says to Pedro, do you dare me go talk to her? And Pedro's like, yeah.
I love the fact that like he's already talked to her. He has to talk to her because he has all the stuff in his It's already predetermined. But he's gonna act like a badass.
Right.
Like he's gonna over just talk to her.
Right. So he goes over and talks to her in the first pickup line, which I like laughed so hard, and I said to Kelsey, I'm like, imagine if like I said that to you or something like that.
So what was the line? I don't even know.
It was, are you drinking 1% milk because you think you're fat? Because you're not. You're not. You could be drinking whole milk if you want.
Can I just...
Like, what a pickup line.
Can I just explain something to you? 2 things. The peanut butter jelly that stuck to the side of her face was killing me. Because it kept going back to it, and I was like, it's still there! And I was like... Please, God, someone tell her that she has a big wad of peanut butter jelly sandwich stuck to the side of her face. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody. But I used to know a girl who was shy like that, so she would take a bite of her sandwich and then hide her face as she ate, so she would do this.
Okay, the sound effects are unneeded.
That's some good sound effects.
Stop. I get it. This is an ASMR. Chill out.
Oh, God, I wanted her. I was like, please put up your sandwich. Please put up your sandwich.
All right. So, what ended up happening with them? Anything? Nothing, really?
No, he returned. He returned all her stuff. By the way, did you love that she had all her other stuff there? Like she had like a little trolley.
Yeah.
I was like, where did you get the trolley from? Like, what high school would let you walk around with a trolley full of all these tackle boxes?
Well, the trolley was from his house. Like she had all the tackle boxes on the trolley at the house. So he gave it back.
Oh, I get it. So when he pulls out, he's already given her the.
Yeah.
He was like, "Come get no room for my nunchucks," and I'm like, again, Kevin. Like I'm like, you don't have nunchucks. Right. Like you ain't bringing no nunchucks. Let's go.
So then the uncle comes to town.
Yeah, like, because the grandmother hurts her butt. Yeah, driving on the dunes.
The dunes, yeah. So the uncle comes and like is watching them, even though they don't need to be watched. Right. But
yeah, especially when the brother's like 30 some odd years old. He's like, I gotta watch you.
So
he's like, Kip's like 30, and I'm like, oh my god.
My parents.
We're leaving.
Can somebody watch Ashley?
You mean the dog? No, Ashley. Dog's fine.
Make sure she eats. Make sure she feeds Tina.
Tina, time to eat.
So then the uncle and Kip, which is, I think that's his name.
It's Kip. Yeah. Yes.
Because like the way they said the names, like I couldn't really tell what they were saying for a while. Yeah. So
it's Uncle Rico, by the way, if you didn't know who the uncle was.
I'm just gonna say the uncle.
It was Rico.
Okay. Rico.
Ricola. No.
Wait, we're have to like speed through this. So they start the Tupperware.
You got a half hour. You're fine.
Tupperware project.
Oh yeah.
So they're selling Tupperware.
That's where they were going?
No.
I swear to God, I thought they were breaking in. They're like, we need pictures, we need an ID. I'm like, oh, they're gonna like break into like some
CIA thing.
Yeah, they're gonna break into something like, oh, we need to have ties, we need suits, and it's like, you need a car. You need a car. Never mind. You know what? I'm better off on foot. And I'm like, oh man, this is some serious stuff they're going to do. Next thing I know, it's like Tupperware. They're like, I got a set of 25 Tupperware here. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I love the lady. So if I buy the whole set of 25, he's like, what kind of free gift do I get? And then he takes out this boat and she's like, she's looking at him like, we have to. Yeah, I know. And I'm going, what's an if?
I was waiting for them to say, oh, we collect them. We already have that one. That's what I was waiting for.
I love, this was another good gem, was the guy's like, here, take it. You look like a strapping good man. Try to see if you can do it. So he's like, trying to break it. And the wife's like, really, honey, you can't break it? Like, give it the look. Right. And then we had to give it back. He's like, I tried. And the wife's like, oh, I have such a...
pussy for a husband.
I know. And it was like, it's Tupperware.
Right.
I don't think the strongest man
Which, by the way, that Tupperware back then was fucking...
Yeah, back then. Yeah. Which I don't know what back then is. If it was 2000 or 1980. Because if it's 1980, it's made with all those chemicals.
Right. That doesn't matter. You're fine. But then the Kip tries to demonstrate that you can't break it, and he runs it over.
He's like,
fuck!
And the lady's just going outside. Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
And so Pedro wants to ask the girl out, Summer.
Yeah.
Which, good for him. Mm-hmm. He gets enough gall to do it. So he makes a cake, and it says, Summer and Pedro. Mm-hmm. And of course, Summer has to come over and talk to Napoleon while he's doing that. What game is that? That drives me crazy.
Tetherball?
Is it tetherball?
I think it's tetherball.
It drives me crazy. Like I think
it's the dumbest game ever.
I don't know how to play it. I always see it, but it's always like the pole there, and I'm like, what is that? Oh, it's just supposed to be a ball and string. Then where's the ball and string? Like, it's never there.
It was
like,
banned.
It was too hard.
Too many black eyes.
Listen,
Nobody gets the point.
listen, is there professional sports on this? Do you ever heard of this? I'm like, no. That can tell you how bad it is. Move along.
It was the Foursquare of back then. Have you ever played Foursquare? That thing was like it like popped off when I was in elementary school, and then all of a sudden like every elementary school has them now.
No, what are those?
So it's
Is that the one you throw in and then they're supposed to go through like a whole like all different sized? Like it looks like a basket, but it's not a basket. Okay.
no,
'Cause I don't
it's
get that game either. I'm like,
no, it's a square and there's 4 squares inside.
Okay.
And you have to hit the ball like so. If you're the starter, then you have to hit the ball across, and you have to like keep it in the square. And if you hit it outside, then you're out, and then like the next person gets in.
okay, clearly stupid. So moving along.
Yeah, it was.
So
It was fun back then, but it gets
it was
old
fun
pretty
when I was
quick.
5. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. 6, not it.
It's like happy birthday. That game sucks. Happy birthday to you. This game sucks. No, but so it ends up getting a note. I love how he reads it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what?
I would have done the same thing.
I would never. I would have been like, what does it say? I don't know. It's a note to you, not to me.
I would have fucking read it. I was glad that he read it. I'm like, yeah, good.
Because it says no.
Yeah.
And then, of course, her boyfriend is that typical bully.
Yeah.
The typical 1980 jock, which I don't get because he's wearing a shirt with his collar up like it is 1980, and I'm going, what is wrong with this timeline? And then, so I did. Oh, did your heart break a little bit when
You said no?
Pedro? No, when Pedro says, "Can I ask her out?"
Yeah. I was like, oh.
And of course, he's like that Kevin O'Brien who's like, "Sure, what's the big deal?" I'm like, "Bro, she likes you."
Who am I going to go out with?
Yeah. As soon as he goes out with her, like, "Oh, who am I going with? It sucks." Like, should have thought of that. Mm-hmm. And then he goes, "Oh my God. Oh, you're really good at drawing pictures." Yeah, I'm really good at drawing pictures. Draw that girl picture. Draw a girl that you like. And it took me 3 hours to do that shadow under your lip.
Like,
Can we just talk about the uncle being stuck on 1982? Like, he's like, put me in, coach. I'm like, but you know what? Here's something. There were people I remember like that. Like as a kid, there was adults that would get stuck on something from high school, and I think that's one of our things that I feel like, especially lately, is that people get stuck on things from high school. They're like, like I was a great writer in high school. I was a great writer. It's like, yeah, I was a great writer. I did write. I don't write anymore. I moved on. But there's some people who just can't let that go. Like, I've been on a horse one other time since I've officially. So I officially stopped riding around 21, around there, or 2021, and I got on a horse in my 30s. I went around the ring a couple times. I walked track canter, and I literally was like, nope, done.
you done? Really?
Like, I was done. I miss riding, but I knew I was so. I wasn't in shape.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, I knew that I was. For me to get back to where I was, I would have to like just give up everything that I loved and just be
Devoted.
Yeah. And it was just like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah. I was riding too.
I
I didn't ride like you did, but
people always ask, do you miss riding? And I always say the same thing. I miss the competition. Like, I missed that lifestyle of going to horse shows and riding, because that's what I rode for, to be good. But I don't know if I could be like, people are like, oh, could you just ride in the backyard? I'm like, no.
See, I like that. I loved going for trail rides on my lessons.
Yeah, no.
I love that.
No. I've had some bad trail rides. I've had moments where I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm on the ground, the horse is running, and then I'm walking 3 miles because I just was on my horse walking 3 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm physically walking back going, no, not doing this again.
No, I miss that. And I miss being like when it was wintertime and riding bareback and just like giving them little hugs and they're so warm.
No, I never did
I
any
love
of
that.
those things. Loser.
Nah,
Yeah, you're right.
No.
I got obsessed with I was in competition. I was in hardcore competition that's all it was for me. It was like I would get on a horse, I would ride, do everything, walk my horse off, cool him down, put him away, get on another horse, do the exact same thing I did on that horse, or if I had to work on something else, and I would do 1, 2, or 3 horses within whatever time that I had, and it would take up most of my day. And then I would be like, okay, or ride 2 in the morning, ride 2 in the afternoon, because I was in school, so I was out of school summer. But those are all things that I remember, and I totally was just like, when I got on, I just like, I miss the people, I miss the riding, I miss the competition, going to horse shows, trying to make a name for myself. Not, I mean, I do miss my actual horses, which they're probably all not around anymore. If they are,
they won't be for long.
I know, well, it won't be for long, but so there's some things that I'll look and I have a lot of horse show friends, but I had the same thing when I saw this guy like with the video camera trying to throw football, like put me in, coach, and I'm like, you're hooked on something that you can't. And we just had that bad memory that we talked on our last live that we got emotional, but that's basically what the uncle is, to a point that he does this whole scheme to get a time machine, which,
oh my god,
I have to say was the stupidest thing I've ever watched in my life, because it wasn't even funny. I was like, all right, Kevin, okay, like Brian, like really, you have to put something in your crotch and something on your head, and they turn on the power, and he's like, and he's like, turn it off. He's like, it doesn't work, and I love the uncle comes in, he's like, I could have told you that. Like he's all like crunched over, and they're both shopping, like, yeah. I don't know. Like, there were some gems, but I don't know if it was good enough for an 1.5-hour movie. Like, if this was a half-hour movie, I'd probably had pushed them all in.
Yeah.
This would have been amazing. And then Pedro tries to be president.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Oh, no. He gets really hot. And he shaves his head. That is funny.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, he signed up to be president or whatever, and then he shaves his head like once he like gets in or whatever.
Because he gets too hot.
Yeah, and he's like, "Why are you wearing your hood like that?" And he's like, "I shaved my head, and I don't want anyone to see."
Which they put on the wig, which looks 1,000 times worse. I've been like, and all his cousins are bald.
Right.
So I don't know what the problem is.
I don't understand why he needed a full head of hair either, but because isn't the wig even hotter than your hair?
I thought the exact same thing.
And like more itchy.
Well, let's face it, at the last part when the wig is like all like soaked from his sweat.
Oh yeah.
And he's just sitting there and I'm like, I don't get this. Like, I don't get any of this.
Yeah. So then like they fight hard for him to be president or whatever, and they're doing their speeches.
I ran for president, had to do a skit behind it. I was like, right. I've never heard of this.
So Summer does her skit first.
Right, which is that, hey, I thought of you with the sign language.
Oh my god. I was like, what is this?
I was like, she's sign languaging to the song. Which is a 2001 song?
Yeah, what was it? I don't remember what
it was a boy band. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Is it
what was it, NSYNC?
I think it was NSYNC.
Yeah.
It was something like that. And I was going, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Why is this? No. Like, why is this? It's in the 80s, Riley. Yeah. And so he decides, oh no, we forgot to talk about the girlfriend. Because the brother brings his girlfriend, the tall black.
Oh, yeah.
I thought she was pretty. I was like, good for him.
Yeah.
I didn't expect her to be that. When he said, oh, I only seen her face, I'm like, oh. You know what that means? Yeah. When you only see their face, it's like, oh, they're pretty, but there's going to be a little more than you're going to expect.
Right. Or it's not them.
Or, well, we weren't really catfishing back then.
I don't know. There's a lot of people who catfish back then.
Well,
think that they were like actresses and stuff.
I don't know. Well, and
Anyways.
they land up showing up, and she landed up being cute.
She was
I thought
beautiful, yeah.
I thought she was pretty.
Yeah. She's a lot older. Well, she looks a lot older than.
Yeah, but
he also looks like he's like 12. And
I know. Wait, don't forget he's 30.
Right.
So, yeah.
So she was probably like the right age.
And then, of course,
like,
he has his socks up. He has slip-on shoes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then next he comes with a do-rag, and I'm like, do-rags weren't even around in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, like that. Like
Yeah.
we're talking about the style of do-rag. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew everyone had it before someone starts correcting me. I know
Yeah.
they had it, but not like that. And then he has like this jean jacket. And I'm like, wait a minute, that style's like in the 2000s with all
was
this
it jean
chain.
or was it leather? I thought it was leather.
Oh, it might have been leather. It might
Yeah.
have been leather. And I was like, what? And next thing you know, he's like, oh, yeah, we're made for it. He's like, so she gives him the tape.
Yeah.
Oh, you like to dance. And he gives her the tape, right? Did you expect that music to be like that?
No.
What did you expect?
I
Rap.
don't know what I
expected rap. Not because she was black, not because of anything, but the way he was dressed with the chains all over him and the rings. It looked like he was kind of like a gangster kind of look to it. So I assumed it was going to be like a gangster rap or something like that. Next thing I know, it's like disco, and I'm like, what year is this?
So then, okay, now they do the speeches or whatever, and then they find out that they have to do a skit right then and there, and Pedro's like, oh, well, fuck, you know?
Yeah, I'm done, yeah.
Yeah. So Summer does her skit with the sign language, whatever. And then Pedro's like, well, I'm not going to say much, but I'll go out there. And so he said a speech, and then Napoleon just like goes out there. He gives the tape to the sound guy or whatever.
Again, we have we have the old VCR tapes. We have old cassette tapes. And somehow we're in the 2000s. Okay, go ahead.
Well, that's typical school. They're always like way behind, but
that's way behind.
Right. So then Napoleon just goes out and he does the famous like dance scene or whatever, and that went on longer than I thought it was going to. Like that seemed like it was not going to end.
I know. I was like, oh my god. And
I was like, is this going to take to
and
the?
then it just ended, and he's like, still dancing. I'm going, what is happening? Like,
did you watch the end scene?
Oh, the very end? No,
yeah.
I couldn't. As soon as the first credit came up, I was like, click.
Fuck up.
I was like, dude, I lived this. I don't know what's at the end. What happens after this?
Do you want me to tell you?
Go ahead, because I am not watching this movie
Kip
again.
marries. But the guy who marries him was we skipped a part too where Napoleon and Pedro get the job.
Oh yeah.
At the chicken farm or whatever.
Yeah. Oh.
The chicken guy marries them.
What was up with the yolk in the?
Oh, I don't know.
In the orange juice.
It wasn't that guy. It was the other guy, the older guy.
Oh yeah,
like the guy who looked like he was about to croak.
The one-tooth guy. The one that eat the sandwiches with all the flies on it. Again, with all the, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
So they get married, and then
the pita tots look better.
Napoleon's late to the the pantots. Then Napoleon is late to the wedding, and the uncle's like, or the grandma's like, where's Napoleon? And then Napoleon like rides in on this horse, and he's like, here's your honeymoon horse. And then they ride off.
Okay.
And that was the movie, y'all. I will not be watching that again.
I will not watch that again. If you want to, I'm telling you, like, I know
if you
too.
Turn the lights on.
People are like, I can hear pants tots. I heard a clap. Okay, I didn't like this movie.
No,
I wouldn't tell any of my friends to watch this. Because I would literally just
missed the hype with it.
I would literally sit down and be like, let me tell you my life. I got Kevin, I got Brian. Which one do you want to
Mash them together. That's Napoleon.
If I tell you 5 stories, it's almost Napoleon's.
Yeah.
Like, I can literally tell you stories from
I bet you
Brian
can.
and Kevin that you just, like, I remember when he would, like, I already talked about the whole mixing and like, we're in 6th grade and I was like, oh, that's cool. And he felt like he was the coolest kid because I said he was cool because he knew that.
Yeah.
The condiments. The condiments. Most people would be like, dude, that's not cool. But he was the only kid that was letting me sit with him, so I wasn't rocking no boat. Yeah. But, oh my gosh. I think my biggest complaint was I didn't understand the timeline, like what year
Yeah.
we were in. 'Cause
And I
felt
feel like there's a lot of unnecessary scenes in there.
yeah.
Too. Like just
Yeah, like there were
This
things
movie could have been a
or
lot
there was
shorter.
moments where you go, "Oh, he's going to like her or she's going to like him," like
Yeah.
when they danced.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, "Okay." And then again, she was wearing an 80s dress with the big puffy thing. I'm like, "Okay,
I
so
made
it's 80s."
it.
I made it.
Did you see how like
He's
they
like-
getting
he's like-
squished?
He's like, "Oh."
I'm like, oh, did she stuff those?
Yeah, don't you remember? That used to be a big thing
yeah.
where you used to get that.
I thought it was just poof. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that there was stuff.
They
too.
used to put like paper in it, so when you touch it, it would go. It'd sound like paper. That's an 80s
Sexy.
Hey, I was in middle school in the 80s, so I was not picking the outfits.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't like this one. I didn't find it funny enough. How's
No. Yeah.
that? Like it wasn't funny enough. If anything, it was just like I actually felt bad the whole time. Like my heart broke for him. But again, I think it's because I knew kids like that, so it was more of a that's not funny. Like that's actually true.
Yeah.
Where I think it was supposed to be satire.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way there could be. I'm like, I got two of them in the same neighborhood. I live in the same town.
Right.
So, yeah, I wouldn't. This wouldn't be my movie. But it's not a bad movie. I should say.
No,
that.
it's not a bad movie. It's just not.
I don't think
a
it's
movie
as
I'd
funny.
watch again.
Yeah, it was dry humor. So if you like a lot of dry stuff, like kind of like.
I don't.
I don't. Nope.
Spit on a little bit.
Yeah, something. Get a little pant tops on the low way, you know what I mean?
Give me whole milk next time.
What was... Wait a minute, real quick.
Oh my god! I know exactly where you're going.
Oh, we go... That was... Wait, there was a gem. I'm going to tell everyone real quick. Well, no, there was a gem. We missed... How could we forget this? What was up? All of a sudden, out of the blue, he's
milk
drinking
testing?
milk. And I'm going, what is he doing? And he's taking some test. Well, we had no idea where this came from. And he's like drinking.
This one has bleach in it.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, this one has bleach. I'm like, you just drank bleach? You're okay with
Right.
that?
Everyone's
And then
okay
he's
with that.
like, this has been eaten. This cow got let out in a onion.
Yeah.
Then he's like, unbelievable. And I'm like, how is this
Also,
guy?
why is the glass so filled?
Right, for like a sip.
Right.
Why do you have little Dixie cups?
Right.
Like, you know, like, oh, okay.
No, we have giant mason
Well, we
jars.
have- The colors were all different. I'm like, dude, why do you drink? I was waiting for him to be like, oh, this milk's curdled. I'm like, oh, God. That's 3 weeks old.
Sounds like colostrum or something.
He's like, this is butter. Straight butter. Like, that
Yeah.
was funny. Because I was
Yeah.
like, how is everyone okay with next thing I know? There's
I wanted to know what the last one
metal
was.
in the water going, what the hell are you doing in the bathroom?
Yeah.
That was weird. All right. I'd like to thank the Goofy Geek Boutique for sponsoring us. I like to thank everyone for watching. Don't forget, we are on YouTube on Tuesdays.
Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, hit that bell.
I believe it's my turn now.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know. I have a list. I just gotta find where they are so you can watch them.
Okay.
So we will catch you next Tuesday. If you have a suggestion, no one watches this anymore. I swear to God. This is
Actually, if
just
you finally get to watch it,
I tell you, you gotta tag her on Facebook. She ain't watching this stuff.
she's not watching it by Tiger.
That's personal.
She only likes it live. She likes it live.
I got some
Okay.
some tots in my potato. In my
I
pants.
got some tots in my potatoes.
In my pants, potato tots. That's what I want to say. All right, we're out. Have a good one. Bye. Go ahead. Do your clap.
Can't.